Hello everyone. In our previous class we have discussed about the structure of pituitary gland, morphology of pituitary gland, and we have tried to understand the structure of anterior pituitary and its hormones. We have also discussed about growth hormone and its functions. In today's class we will see the rest of the hormones secreted by pituitary, anterior pituitary, as well as we will also see the hormones that are secreted by posterior pituitary. Now, the next hormone that is secreted by anterior pituitary is thyroid stimulating hormone, which is also known as TSH, which again there is another name, that is thyrotropic hormone. Now, we are using the word tropic hormone because these are the hormones which act on another endocrine gland. Okay, a hormone that directly act on another endocrine gland and make them to secrete their hormones are called as tropic hormones. For example, thyrotropic hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, gonadotropic hormone, etc. Okay, so these are the hormones which will act on other endocrine glands and make them to secrete their hormones. Growth hormone is somatotropic hormone. Growth hormone, why we call it a somatotropic hormone? Indirectly it is involved in secretions, but directly it acts on the tissues itself, organs itself. Okay, whereas thyrotropic hormone, it acts on thyroid gland. Adrenocorticotropic hormone acts on adrenal cortex. Gonadotropic hormones act on gonads, testis and ovary. Okay, so tropic hormones are those hormones secreted by pituitary gland which act on other endocrine gland, thus make them to secrete their hormones. Okay, and this TSH or thyrotropic hormone or thyroid stimulating hormone, it is necessary for growth and the secretory activity of the thyroid gland. It acts on thyroid gland. It stimulates the thyroid gland. Okay, it stimulates the thyroid gland. That's why the name is thyroid stimulating hormone. Now this TSH when secreted, it will increase. So it is necessary for the growth of the thyroid gland as well as its secretion. So whenever it is secreted by pituitary gland, anterior pituitary, remember, it will increase the number of follicular cells of the thyroid. Okay, it increases the number of follicular cells. Follicular cells are the cuboidal secretory cells that are present in the thyroid. In practical, you are going to study the structure of histology of thyroid gland. You will come across the follicular cells. So their number is increased, and so these they also convert the cuboidal cells that are present in the thyroid gland into columnar cells. So conversion from cuboidal to columnar cells, and they also increase the size and secretory activity of the follicular cells. See, they will increase the number of follicular cells, they will also increase the size and the secretory activity of the follicular cells of the thyroid gland. Okay, in addition to that, they will also increase the iodine pump and iodide trapping in follicular cells. And the question is, why iodide pump and all comes here? So it is because thyroxine, the hormone secreted by thyroid gland, it is chemically triiodothyronine or tetraiodothyronine. Remember, in classification of hormones, we have come across one type of hormone that is derived from amino acids, isn't it? So this triiodothyronine is a derivative hormone, and this hormone contains iodine. So that means iodine plays an important role there in the hormone formation of hormone thyroxine, and thus thyroid stimulating hormone will increase the iodide pump and also iodide trapping in the follicular cells, so that these follicular cells can use that iodine in producing thyroxine. Okay, and they also increase the thyroglobulin secretion into follicles, the proteinaceous one, and iodination of tyrosine. Okay, iodination of tyrosine. Tyrosine is amino acid. Iodination of it, adding iodine to it, tetraiodothyronine. From there triiodothyronine will be produced. Okay, so this is also done by thyroid stimulating hormone and proteolysis of thyroglobulin. Okay, so by which the release of the hormone is enhanced. All these activities are done by thyroid stimulating hormone, okay, on thyroid gland. So its primary target organ is thyroid gland, where it increases the number of follicular cells, where it also increases the size of the follicular cells, and its secretory ability will be increased. Okay, it will convert the cuboidal follicular cells into columnar follicular cells, helps in increasing the trapping of iodine, so that triiodothyronine can be produced more and more. Okay, increases the iodine pump and also helps in iodination of thyrosin, so that triiodothyronine can be produced. Okay, so these are all the activity of the thyroid stimulating hormone, okay, secreted by anterior pituitary gland, which acts on thyroid gland. Remember, in a single sentence, thyroid stimulating hormone is the hormone secreted by anterior pituitary acting on thyroid gland, helping in the secretion of its hormone. The hormone of the thyroid gland is thyroxine. Whatever is needed to secrete that thyroxine, thyroid stimulating hormone will help in it. Okay, the next hormone is adrenocorticotropic hormone. See, again a tropic hormone it is, that means it acts on certain organ. Which organ? Adrenocortic, means it acts on the adrenal cortex. Adrenal gland is a gland which is present over kidney. Okay, so over kidney, when you have drawn kidney in anatomy, so you must have drawn a pyramid shaped structure above the kidney, isn't it? So this is the adrenal gland, and this gland, when take in section both kidney and this adrenal gland, you can differentiate to two parts. Okay, the first part, the outer part is called as cortex, and the inner part is called medulla. Okay, it is called medulla. Now this particular hormone, okay, this particular hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, also known as ACTH, okay, this act on the cortex region of adrenal gland. It acts on cortex region of adrenal gland, and remember, makes them to secrete those hormones of the adrenal cortex. That means it helps in their preparation, it helps in their secretion also. Okay. Now, this is very important for the structural integrity and the secretory activity of the adrenal cortex. And how does it helps in its secretion? So, first, so actually in cortex region it is differentiated into certain zones. Again, you are going to study them in histology. So here vascularization of the zona fasciculata and reticularis of the adrenal cortex. Fasciculata and reticularis are the regions that are differentiated based on the nature of cell arrangement. Okay, based on cell arrangement, these area zones have been differentiated. So, the structural integrity and vascularization. Vascularization means supply of blood vessels. That will be maintained by the adrenal cortex, adrenal corticotropic hormone. Okay, not only that, it helps in conversion of cholesterol into, okay, certain substances which are necessary for the production of hormones like glucocorticoids. Okay, glucocorticoids. Now, let me tell you one more thing here. The hormones which are secreted by adrenal cortex are generally steroid hormones. See, we have again come across steroid hormones, isn't it? Corticosteroids. Mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids are two categories of corticoids that are secreted by adrenal cortex. So these are steroid hormones, and steroid hormones means the hormones which are produced chemically derived from cholesterol. See, we often think that cholesterol is bad. No, there are cholesterol categories that are considered as good cholesterol. They are necessary for the production of hormones. So, that particular good cholesterol skeleton will be used to produce a precursor, and then this precursor will be then converted into glucocorticoid. Okay, similarly mineralocorticoids also. And so that means it adrenocorticotropic hormone act on the cortex region of the adrenal gland, helps in their vascularization, and it also helps in conversion of cholesterol into a precursor from which glucocorticoids can be produced. Not only that, they also help in release of the glucocorticoids, and it also prolongation of glucocorticoid action, means it increases the duration of its action. You know, hormones are chemicals, that means they have half life. Most of the hormones have a half life period of a few minutes, okay, few minutes. But this adrenocorticotropic hormone will increase the half life period of glucocorticoid. I am sure you are familiar with the word half life. What is half life? It is the time that is taken by any chemical to be degraded to half of its original concentration, isn't it? So hormone also has a half life, and this adrenocorticotropic hormone will increase the half-life period of glucocorticoid, prolonging its activity. Okay, half-life period will be prolonged, delayed, so that hormone can be active for longer time. In addition to that, in addition to these adrenal cortex activity, ACTH will also help in mobilization of the fats from tissues. That means if there is a stored fat in the tissue, okay, this will act on those fat tissues and make them to release the fatty acids, okay, and even the cholesterol, so that it is available for steroid formations. And it also has to some extent a melanocyte stimulating effect. That's why in certain disorders related to adrenocorticotropic hormone, pigmentations are seen. Dark spots appear when there is some kind of imbalance in the adrenocorticotropic hormone. So this, it has melanocyte stimulating effect. It helps in increasing the melanocyte or melanin pigmentation. Okay, so remember this effect of adrenocorticotropic hormone. In future, when we discuss about disorders, this particular fact or factor might be very useful for us in understanding hyper and hyposecretions of these hormones. Okay, remember ACTH, adrenocorticotropic stimulating hormone it is. That means it stimulates the adrenal cortex to secrete its secretions. Okay. And how does it do that? It helps in maintaining the cortex region and its vascularization, helping in conversion of cholesterol into a precursor, then secretion of glucocorticoids, okay, and then also delaying the activity of the enhancing the activity of the hormones, plus they also have melanocyte stimulating effect. Okay. The next hormone is follicle stimulating hormone, okay, FSH. This is the hormone which is also known as gametokinetic factor. Okay, it is a hormone which has a gametokinetic effect. That means it is involved in gametogenesis. Hormone which is very important in gametogenesis is follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, common in both male and in female. Okay, and chemically it is also a glycoprotein. So we are familiar that the hormones secreted by pituitary are proteinaceous hormones, isn't it? So this hormone is also a glycoprotein, okay, and it is formed of one alpha subunit and beta subunit. Here subunits refers to polypeptide chains. What are polypeptides? Ask your elective 1 friends. I think they are more familiar with the word polypeptides. Now, actions of FSH in males. Remember one thing, it is a gametokinetic factor. That means it is involved in gametogenesis, spermatogenesis in male and oogenesis in female. So, this acts along with the testosterone and accelerates the process of spermatogenesis or spermiogenesis in case of male. Similarly, in female, it acts on the follicle cells. Okay, it acts on the follicle cells of ovary. That's why the name follicle stimulating hormone. So, it acts on follicle cells and helps in oogenesis, maturation of the ovum. It also helping, so when the ovum is maturing, follicle also matures from primordial follicle to the mature follicle. So this transformation is also because of the stimulation of the follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, and this will also help act on the Graafian follicle, the theca cells of Graafian follicle or maturing follicle, and make them to secrete their hormone, that is estrogen. Okay, they make them to secrete the hormone estrogen, and also it promotes the conversion of androgens to estrogen. See, in females also there will be production of a trace amount of androgens, and this FSH will convert them into estrogen. Okay, estrogen secretion is basically a feedback mechanism from FSH. Anterior pituitary secretes FSH, which acts on primarily on ovary, helps in ova maturation. Okay, simultaneously follicular maturation, where primordial follicle is converted into a Graafian follicle, and also act on the thecal cells of a follicle, make them to secrete estrogen hormone. Okay, so these are the activities of follicle stimulating hormones. Next one is luteinizing hormone, LH. Okay, this is also known as interstitial cell stimulating hormone. Interstitial cell stimulating hormone in case of male. Why it is called so? Because it primarily acts on interstitial cells of testis. Okay, interstitial cells of testis, and make them to secrete their secretion, that is the testosterone. See, FSH act on thecal cells to secrete estrogen. Luteinizing hormone act on the interstitial cells, Leydig cells. Okay, make them to secrete testosterone. Because it act on interstitial cells, LH is known as interstitial cell stimulating hormone. I for interstitial, C for cell, S for stimulating, H for a hormone. So, ICSH is the other name in case of males. Okay, so it is responsible for secretion of testosterone in case of males, whereas in case of female it is called ovulatory hormone. It is called ovulatory hormone because it is responsible for ovulation. Okay, it is responsible for ovulation. It is simultaneously together with the follicle stimulating hormone, it also acts on Graafian follicle and helps their maturation. Okay, see here, it induces the synthesis of androgen from the thecal cells of growing follicle. FSH converts androgen to estrogen. This LH will act on theca cells to produce a trace amount of androgen. Okay, and that androgen is then converted into estrogen in case of female. So, and it is also necessary for the formation of corpus luteum. Okay, and responsible for secretion of progesterone from corpus luteum. Corpus luteum is the body that is produced after ovulation. The Graafian follicle, the remnants of the Graafian follicle will then converted into corpus hemorrhagicum, then luteum and albicans. Like this, there will be different stages. Corpus luteum is a stage where they are capable of secreting a hormone called as progesterone. And this luteinizing hormone primarily first act on the maturing follicle and further helps in further maturation of the Graafian follicle. Once Graafian follicle is fully mature, there will be sudden increase in the luteinizing hormone secretion and does help in ovulation. Ovulation is the process of release of ova. Okay, and see, I think I can just draw a diagram and that will be easier for you to understand. So, if this is ovary and ovary, and let's say that here is the Graafian follicle with its mature ova. So, the release of ova is called as ovulation, and once ovulation is done, what is left is the this corpus luteum, but it will be filled with the blood in the beginning and then it will become yellowish in condition. Okay, that's called as corpus luteum. This corpus luteum, okay, this corpus luteum is capable of secreting hormone, that is progesterone. So, this secretes a hormone called progesterone. How it produces a progesterone hormone? Because LH will act on the follicle cells here, okay, which are now called as luteal cells, and make them to secrete progesterone. Okay, and this will help in maintaining the pregnancy too in future if pregnancy takes place. Okay, so luteinizing hormone, it is involved in the stimulate together with the FSH, it will act on the follicle cells. It induces the production of androgen, okay, by the theca cells. It is also responsible for ovulation and is responsible for the formation of corpus luteum and secretion of progesterone. Okay, so and the next hormone is prolactin. Next hormone is prolactin, and this is the hormone secreted by female. Okay, and it is usually produced in the final preparation of the mammary glands. That is, when a woman becomes pregnant, okay, the mammary gland will further develop, and they'll attain the ability to secrete milk. So this milk secreting ability of the mammary gland of a mother is because of the activity of the prolactin. The name itself indicates that it has a lactating effect. That means it helps in production and secretion of the milk. Okay, so that is its primary function, which is inactive in case of males. The hormone active in case of female, inactive in case of male is prolactin. It is again a proteinaceous hormone. See, the half-life of this is 20 minutes. So, once a particular amount of prolactin is secreted, it will be active on its activity will be, or the actual concentration of this hormone will be reduced to half within 20 minutes. Okay, it doesn't mean that in next 40 minutes it will be eliminated. So, initial concentration will be reduced to half in 20 minutes, and from there half in next 20 minutes, from there half in next 20 minutes, so on it goes. Okay, so half life is 20 minutes, and they act on the epithelial cells of the mammary gland. Okay, and they will cause the localized alveolar hyperplasia, the elongation and the multiplication, increase in the alveolar area of the mammary gland, so that they are more secretory in nature. So, its primary function is preparing the mammary gland for the production of milk as well as the secretion of milk. Okay, so prolactin is a lactating hormone helpful in production and secretion of the milk. Primary action in case of female, that to lactating mothers, that means the pregnant mothers. Okay. Yeah, the next one more hormone that can be discussed today, the one more addition actually, is the beta lipotropin. As I said, a new hormone has been identified that is secreted by anterior pituitary is beta lipoprotein. Okay, it is again a polypeptide hormone with 31 amino acids. Lipotropin means it has effect on lipids, so it mobilizes the fat from adipose tissue and promotes lipolysis, means it helps in breakdown of the fat, lipolysis, breakdown of lipid. Okay, and it also forms a precursor for endorphins. Okay, and these usually act through a cycle, second messenger cycle, adenyl cyclase. Adenyl cyclase, I am not sure whether I think I have talked about it in the activity of the hormones. So, adenyl cyclase act through that cycle, the beta lipotropin is it acts through that adenyl cyclase process. Now, here we have to only concentrate on one thing. This is the anterior pituitary hormone, and its activity is in releasing the fat from the tissues, having a lipolysis activity, that means breaking the lipids into their constituent units so that they can be utilized for some other activities, some other functions. So, that is all about the hormones of anterior pituitary, and I think now we are left with the posterior pituitary and its hormones, which I think we can discuss in our next class. Thank you for today.